Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here. Last week, the Honorable Premier delivered the 2026-2027 budget under the theme, Responsible Choices, Lasting Benefits for Bermudians. Today, I will outline how that theme is reflected in the Ministry of National Security's priorities for the 2026 and 2027 fiscal year. Our total ministry budget is $136,989,000. This represents a $9 million increase, or 7%, over the adjusted 2025 to 2026 budget. That $9 million increase supports specific and deliberate priorities. It covers recently awarded salary uplifts for all employees in our ministry. These salary uplifts are the result of very productive negotiations with our union partners. Our budget allocation provides funding for recruitment to fill vacant posts in the departments in our ministry, which are the Royal Bermuda Regiment, the Bermuda Police Service, the Customs Department, the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service, and the Bermuda National Drug Control. I am particularly pleased that we shall be able to fund new posts within the Royal Bermuda Regiment Coast Guard in order to enhance our maritime operations and increase our border control capability. These are responsible investments in the people who protect this country and provide a safe environment in which we can live and our children can grow. Within that same operational increase, we are expanding violence prevention and intervention work as part of our National Violence Reduction Strategy. Funding from the 2026-2027 budget supports expanded education and counseling programs delivered through what is now known as the Violence Reduction Team. This team was formerly referred to as the Gang Violence Reduction Team. We are now using the title Violence Reduction Team to reflect the broader scope of its work. The VRT engages directly in our communities, providing prevention, intervention, and support services designed to keep young people away from violence and antisocial behavior. This includes school visits, mediation, mentorship, and connecting individuals with positive opportunities that steer them toward productive paths rather than cycles of harm. Operational funding also supports counseling services for individuals and families affected by violence. The 2026-2027 budget also supports continued anti-violence campaigns. These campaigns are designed to reach young people directly, using messages and platforms they engage with, so we can challenge harmful narratives early and reinforce positive choices before violence takes root. Public awareness initiatives are designed to reinforce early intervention, reduce stigma around seeking support, and encourage community responsibility. Funding has again been allocated for grants to community organizations, such as the Bermuda Football Association and several other entities, to improve their security and facilities. These grants will enhance the safety at venues throughout the island while assisting organizations in providing programs in a safe and secure environment. This will aid in the achievement of the goals of our violence reduction strategy, particularly in the realm of prevention. In addition, funding has been allocated to implement an adolescent substance abuse treatment program. Substance abuse and violence are often connected, particularly among young people who lack support and guidance. Early, structured treatment interrupts that cycle before it escalates into criminal behavior. Addressing addiction directly while providing preventative programs is a responsible way to reduce long-term social and economic costs. The 2026-2027 allocation also includes funding for a grant to Dignity House. Dignity House provides structured transitional housing and support services to men seeking stability and reintegration. Supporting rehabilitation is a responsible choice, and when individuals are given structure and accountability, the wider community benefits. I would like to now highlight our capital funding allocation for 2026-2027. A total of $9.3 million has been allocated for capital projects in the next fiscal year. These funds are separate from operational spending and are dedicated to equipment, infrastructure, and long-term asset improvement. For the Royal Bermuda Regiment Coast Guard, capital funding will cover the cost of new vessels and engines that are needed to replace the existing aging fleet and to expand its long-term maritime capability. A Coast Guard maintenance shed will also be constructed to support upkeep of these assets, which operate in demanding and sometimes harsh conditions. A purpose-built maintenance shed allows for routine servicing and repairs to be carried out safely and consistently, ensuring reliability during emergency response operations. For the Bermuda Police Service, capital funding will provide vehicles, a new records management system, and extensive renovations to police headquarters. These are practical investments for the Bermuda Police Service that improve response capability, improve accountability, and ensure officers have a safe and functional working environment. When the police have reliable equipment and modern systems, the public receives a better, faster, and more effective service. The Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service will receive funding for a new fire truck at a cost of approximately $850,000. This replaces aging equipment and ensures that frontline crews have reliable apparatus when responding to emergencies. Public safety communications systems will also be upgraded. Within the Customs Department, capital funding has been allocated for the construction of a purpose-built facility to house a new dock scanner. Effective border control requires modern and reliable infrastructure. A properly housed scanning system improves inspection capability, protects sensitive equipment from environmental wear, and ensures consistent and efficient screening of cargo entering the island. This investment bolsters operational oversight at our ports and reinforces our commitment to maintaining secure and orderly trade. Border protection must evolve alongside changing threats, and this funding ensures that customs officers are supported with the tools and infrastructure required to perform their duties diligently and effectively. All of these capital projects are practical investments. They increase operational capability, improve readiness, and support long-term effectiveness. When we speak about responsible choices, this investment is what that means in real terms. We are investing in personnel, we are investing in prevention, we are investing in infrastructure, we are investing in equipment that will serve Bermuda for years to come. The safety and security of this country requires steady, discipline, and strategic planning. This budget reflects that approach and will have a direct impact on the welfare and safety for all those who call Bermuda home. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you for the briefing. At this time, we're going to invite immediate questions for Minister Weeks, starting with the Royal Gazette, followed by Bermuda Broadcasting Company.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Owen Johnson Barnes with the Royal Gazette. One thing that I didn't hear you mention today is CCTV cameras. Can you give us an update on how the current CCTV system is working? If more improvements are needed, is more coming?
At this point in time, sir, but first of all, good morning. At this point in time, CCTV is just about 90% complete. We are right now in the stages of testing speed cameras. So we are definitely on course to having the whole project done by the end of the summer.
Can you give an idea of how many cameras are going to be involved? How many cameras still need to go up?
I think all our cameras are up. If I recall, it's about 240 plus cameras. I don't have the exact number now, but it's 240 something cameras. It's about triple that as far as views are going, because some of the cameras have more than one view. So all the cameras are pretty well up, and they're in the testing phase. And like I said earlier, we're in the process of putting the speed camera part of the overall CCTV in place.
Now, on a somewhat related issue, obviously the condition of Bermuda's roads is not the best, largely because of, like, most of the vehicle accidents we've seen are not so much accidents because there's some degree of criminality often involved in it, being speeding, drunk driving, etc. Can you say what's being done in this budget to address that issue?
Can you clarify that question?
What are we doing to cut back on drunk drivers? What are we doing to cut back on speeders?
Well, we as a ministry are working along with the police. We have a robust stop and search. We have a robust system that the police out there, they are more and more visible. So we are doing things that can help to mitigate the speeders and continue as we go. We get the speed cameras up and running. That too will be another tool in our arsenal to help us to mitigate the speeding as we suffer on silent.
Now, you mentioned obviously the investment in new scanners for items being shipped into the island. Is this going to be enough to stem the flow of guns and drugs into the country?
Well, it's going to be another tool. Everything that we do is to help to keep our border safe. So the new scanner that's on the dock, we have X-ray machines at our other ports of entry, and with the addition of an expansion of our Coast Guard, that too is another tool. So collectively, we are looking to keep our border safe.
You also mentioned the change from the gang violence reduction to simply the violence reduction. Mm-hmm. Can you say how much of the violence you see is not related to gang violence and how that sort of changes the mandate of the body?
Well, the gang violence aspect that we are experiencing in Bermuda, that's still a very concerning piece. But the violence reduction team is not only responding to gang-related violence. Not all violence is gang-related. So now that they've just expanded their reach.
And what does that mean on a day-to-day basis?
Well, what that means on a day-to-day basis, they are out there in schools, they are doing more mediation, they are assisting in different forms of violence. Not every violence is gang-related. Sometimes they may be at the bus terminal, and they may be intervening in some trouble they may see, and that's not always gang-related. You know, so they are looking to have a broader umbrella in doing their part as violence reduction.
All right. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Hi, good morning, Minister. Thanks for your comments. So going back to the CCTV capabilities, it's been suggested that these cameras actually don't have adequate capabilities in capturing, images at nighttime. Has that been a concern that's crossed your desk?
That was a concern about morning. It was a concern when they first went up, but the manufacturer and Digicel have worked together to fix that issue. So now going forward, they have a better propensity to be able to see activity at night.
What did that require? New equipment or modifications?
Well, some modifications, some upgrading. I'm not the expert, but I knew that there was an issue, and we had to go back to the table to see what was needed. So there was some modification of the cameras that we had purchased, and I think now they're now ready to do the job that we purchased. How
much did that cost, the modifications?
Well, the modification, I don't think there was an additional real cost for the government, because the contract was to to get CCTV up and running. So I think all that came under the existing contract.
Okay. And from what time frame would these modifications now be implemented? Like, when did that get sorted?
They're being implemented as we speak. I'm almost certain that our CCTV now is ready to do the job that we purchased
Okay.
for it to do.
Thank you, Minister. Going over to the Customs Department, you recently made a statement, explaining that we had a shortfall of staff. Are you confident we'll be able to recruit new staff locally, or will you expand your search overseas?
Well, right now for Customs, we are looking to see what the local market produces. We have just had a recruit class graduate, I think, a few weeks ago. The Customs is now in the process of trying to hire an additional 20 staff. And after that recruit, hopefully at the end of the year, we'll go again. So right now, we're looking to see if we could bolster our ranks through our local recruits.
So it's somewhat of an easier process than, say, recruiting firefighters or police officers?
Yeah, sometimes there is different requirements for different uniform services. In police and fire, it tend to be a little more physical. So it may be easier to hire the customs officers that we need.
Sure. Just staying with the police, so we did receive some additional support staff from the UK to assist with ongoing investigations. I wondered if you had been privy to any updates on their progress. Are you happy with the work they're doing? How are you measuring their impact on our local staff and training them up?
Well, the new officers that came from the UK just came around the end of the year, around December, January. So it's still early days to determine just the impact that they have had. But what I'm confident in, that with the experience that we have gotten from the UK with these new officers, I look to have some positive results very soon.
Okay. And just going to the road situation. So there will be observances for grief and awareness on Friday. Obviously, there doesn't seem to be much deterrent from the current laws that are in place for drunk driving, etc. $1,500 fine, 18 months off the road, speeding, similar financial fines. Do you support legislation that would install harsher penalties for bad driving?
I would definitely support any kind of legislation and any review of legislation that may be needed to assist in getting our drivers to slow down and show some care, caution, and courtesy.
I know that probably rests with the Minister of
Yes,
Justice, but how much of a priority is that, when you are overseeing our national security and safety of our roads?
Well, I look to work as closely with the Attorney General and her office as much as I possibly can, but any review of legislation would have to come through her office.
Yeah. Do you see any challenges with, instilling harsher penalties or changing laws in that instance?
Not from my lens, but again, I will leave the substantive answer to the Attorney General.
Okay. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Weeks, Minister of National Security. At this time, we'll turn the podium over to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the Honorable Kim Wilkerson.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Bermudians rely on a justice system that is fair and works for everyone, whether you're going to court, serving on a jury, turning your life around after making a mistake, or standing up for your rights. The Ministry of Justice is responsible for making sure our courts run smoothly, our laws are upheld, and our correctional facilities are safe and focused on rehabilitation, and that constitutional rights are protected. We also oversee legal services for the government. The budget presented in Parliament and debated by my junior minister, Dennis Lister Jr. III, yesterday invests in strengthening these services, improving the efficiency of the courts, supporting rehabilitation, and ensuring that the rule of law remains strong in Bermuda. Our ministry oversees some of Bermuda's most essential institutions, the courts, corrections, legal aid, and the systems that safeguard public safety and uphold our democratic values. These are the pillars of a just society, and maintaining and improving them is both our duty and our promise. This year, the Ministry of Justice has been allocated $63.24 million, an increase of $5.5 million from last year. This represents a strategic investment in public trust, improved service delivery, and stronger community safety. Let me walk you through some key initiatives and what they mean for Bermudians. First, modernizing corrections and supporting rehabilitation. Our correctional facilities play an important role in keeping Bermuda safe. They are not just about security, they are also about second chances. They help people take responsibility, learn new skills, and return to the community ready to live productive lives. When we invest in corrections, we are investing in safer neighborhoods, stronger families, and a better Bermuda overall. This year, the Department of Corrections has been allocated $26.9 million to support major improvements across the system. These upgrades will make our facilities more secure, more efficient, and better equipped for both staff and those in custody. A major focus is strengthening our frontline team. $20 million has been set aside to recruit additional correction officers and cover their salaries. This will stabilize staffing levels to ensure our facilities remain safe, secure, and properly managed. Supporting our offices means a more supportive environment for everyone inside the system and outside. We are also addressing long-standing issues within the facilities. $638,000 in capital spending will replace outdated furniture and essential fixtures. These upgrades may seem small, but they directly improve safety, daily operations, and the overall environment for staff and inmates alike. Another key step forward is the introduction of a new corrections management system. This modern electronic system will replace outdated manual processes, bringing Bermuda in line with international best practices. It will improve record keeping, streamline sentence management, and strengthen oversight, making the system more secure, organized, and transparent. The additional funding will also go into prison refurbishments, focusing on upgrades to aging buildings and infrastructure. These improvements again enhance safety and security, improve day-to-day operations, and ensure our facilities meet modern standards. They also follow the recommendations of the recent prison review, keeping us on the right path. Taken together, these investments strengthen Bermuda's correctional system, support rehabilitation, and help to build a justice system that we can be proud of. Second, enhancing support for treatment courts and probation. The Department of Court Services plays a vital role in helping people get back on track through Bermuda's treatment courts and probation services. These programs provide structure, guidance, and supervision for individuals working to change their lives and are a linchpin of our rehabilitative system. They are an essential part of a justice system focused not just on punishment, but on progress. This year, $5.5 million has been allocated to support this work. This funding will sustain staffing levels, strengthen partnerships across the justice system, and improve processes to make services more efficient and effective, with an acute focus on domestic abuse reform. These investments show our commitment to rehabilitation, accountability, and safer communities for the long term. Third, supporting the Department of Public Prosecutions. The Department of Public Prosecutions has been allocated $4.4 million this year to carry out its mandate. Part of this funding will support preparations for the 2027 International Prosecutors Conference, a major event that will bring legal professionals from around the world to Bermuda. Hosting this conference puts Bermuda on the global stage and highlights the professionalism and high standards of our prosecutors. It also provides the chance to learn from international colleagues, share best practices, and strengthen prosecutorial work here at home. By welcoming the global prosecutorial community, we build stronger international relationships, support professional development, and continue to develop a justice system that is modern, respected, and effective. Fourth, strengthening the ministry's core services. The ministry's headquarters supports the systems that protect Bermuda's reputation and uphold the integrity of our justice system. This year's budget includes $376,000 to meet the ministry's obligations under the National Anti-Money Laundering Committee framework, otherwise referred to as NAMLAC. This funding ensures that we stay aligned with international standards for combating money laundering and the financing of terrorism, protecting Bermuda's global reputation and financial stability. Further, the Financial Intelligence Unit has been allocated $2.25 million. The budget also facilitates the relocation of the Legal Aid Office. This move will create more efficient workspace for staff and improve accessibility for clients. Together, these investments strengthen the ministry's ability to meet national, international obligations while improving the quality and accessibility of services for the people of Bermuda. Additionally, there will be a review of the legal aid system to ensure it continues to have the desired impact. On the matter of jury reform, the nationwide consultations have now concluded, and the feedback received from the public has been invaluable. We will be moving toward finalizing the recommendations that emerge from that process with the goal of modernizing how juries are selected, supported, and managed in Bermuda. Finally, I want to thank the dedicated teams within the Ministry of Justice who work hard every day to turn our plans into real results. I'm continually impressed by the professionalism, skill, and commitment of our officers, staff, and everyone supporting our justice system. To the people of Bermuda, your support, your feedback, and most importantly, your patience means more than I can say. We are not simply maintaining a system. We are together shaping a justice system that is stronger, fairer, and fit for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam AG. Right now, we'll open it up to questions from the media, starting with the Royal Gazette.
Good morning, Owen Johnson Barnes with the Royal Gazette again.
Good morning, Owen.
To start off with the corrections, you've said you're going to be investing in additional staff. Now, obviously, we're talking about budgeting. Just because a post is budgeted doesn't necessarily mean it gets filled. Are you confident you're going to be able to fill those additional posts?
Thank you. And it's a great question. And I think that I have been very forthright in other conversations with the press and certainly in Parliament about the challenges around recruitment. We always have the funds, and we can't seem to meet the mandate in getting the people in the seats. I was really pleased to go to the passing out parade a few days ago for a small number of new recruits, which indicates the challenge it is. We start with 37, we end with 6. People fall off along the way. And that has forced us to look really critically at the recruitment process. So we have our consultant in right now, really scrubbing all of the data on how recruitment works, where candidates fall off in the various phases, to critically look at how we can strengthen the process of recruitment so that it is faster, and so that we also take out maybe barriers that could be outdated in the process. So we are, with the public, really critically looking at how we recruit. So it's not just about funding, as you say. It is about making sure we have a process where candidates can get through without lowering the necessary standards and training, but where candidates can get through and we can deliver on bringing more officers to the role.
Now, mental health in the corrections system is also of key importance. Can you say if you managed to secure a full-time psychologist for the inmates? And if not, is that something that you're hoping to get in place?
So to be clear, the 2 forensic psychologists that are already full-time employees at corrections are for the benefit of inmates. So their roles are specifically related to the clients. Where we have been trying to fill a need is more support for officers, and we are in the process of finalizing a consulting agreement for a psychologist who will help to support officers.
All right. Now, when it comes to the court system, obviously, we've had some issues recently when it comes to delays of cases. Can you give us any update on progress of new courtrooms? Obviously, that kind of falls into the public works hat as well, but obviously you have an interest in this one.
Very much so. I laugh because, as you say, it's a related project with Public Works. It is a priority of Public Works. You will have seen that certain other parts of government have been residing in Dame Lois Brown building. They will be moving. All of that space will be allocated to the courts. So making more space for additional courts is important, and it is underway, but it is a process.
Now, another side effect or another cause of this is the number of criminal lawyers that we have. Obviously, while Bermuda has an abundance of lawyers, a lot of them fall into the corporate space rather than the criminal space. And a defense lawyer can only be in so many courtrooms at the same time. Can you say if anything is being done to try and encourage people to go into law, outside of law specifically?
Thank you. I appreciate the question. This is a topic that is a priority of Bar Council, on which I sit as an ex officio member. We are actively addressing ways that we can encourage more Bermudians to come into the ranks in the criminal defense bar, but also we are actively looking at ways that criminal lawyers coming to the jurisdiction have less of a barrier to be able to hit the ground running. So those are our active considerations. And, I would say one of the things in the debate yesterday that was raised by my counterpart for the OBA And it was a question around, whether there would be any kind of incentives around the continuing legal education credits to try to assist with not just criminal cases, but for members of the bar in other places. You might be a corporate lawyer, for example, whether we ease the barriers for those people to be able to participate even in legal clinics and providing support in that way. So those are active conversations.
Now, while the jury reform process is obviously still ongoing, no final recommendations, can you give us an idea of where you have landed right now, where you're currently looking at after the consultation?
I don't want to get in front of the process. What we've undertaken to do is when we have completed, we've been analyzing as we go, but we did have a last round after the formal consultation period closed, which was January 31st. We had a date with students at the Bermuda College in their sociology class that had to be put off. And I find it fascinating every time we sit with young people or young people are in the room to hear their views. And so what that has meant is we're recalibrating some of the analysis to include those conversations. So we met with them just last Wednesday. So I won't get in front of what the results will be, but the plan is to take the conclusions to the public.
Now, in other areas of legal reform, obviously we have still have a unfortunately high bit of violence on the island. We still have too many people dying on the island's roads. Can you give us an idea of any legislation? Perhaps are you considering strengthening penalties for any offenses at this moment?
What I can say is, and members of the public would remember, really a clarion call from Justice Alan Richards in a fatality case where he meted out what was a maximum sentence. And his call at that time was effectively to me to say, we need to change our laws so that they are more responsive and there is the ability to review maximum sentences in cases that result in fatalities. And we know it's not just fatalities. We have, and the Minister of National Security is keeping the statistics around injuries that don't result in fatalities, but they are considered serious injuries. So there is that stream of work to be done. I think members of the public would know that the committee regarding strengthening sentencing and reviewing sentencing guidelines is already started, and that work is being done. So it is in our view.
And I guess last one, yes. Any update on cannabis reform legislation?
Not at the moment.
All right, thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Minister, Attorney General. I guess I'll just flow into that last questioning. Why does there appear to be a hesitancy for this government to really address the legislation behind road behavior? It seems like nobody wants to touch it.
I disagree that there is a hesitancy, but there is a process. And I think that as we, have conversations about the kind of independence of the judiciary, right? They are doing what they can do. It does fall to the legislature to look at these changes, but we have to do it in a data-driven way, and we have to do it in a way that's informed by best practices, and that is underway. So I certainly am not the Attorney General who wants to be so reactionary that we change laws that may not be purpose-built for the harm that we're trying to cure. But I do understand, the sentiment. People seem like they say things take long.
I mean, it's over the last 5 years, there's an average death of 1 per month and a serious collision every 3 days. When is enough time to consider these changes? Okay. Just speaking to the review of the corrections departments, I know the last time we spoke, you had presented that to your cabinet. I wondered if that document would be made public in terms of their findings.
The document is, I assume you're referring to the prison review panel report. It's still not final. We are waiting for the final version of the report. I'm advised that it is very close to final, understanding that the panel members are in different jurisdictions. I think that has been one of the challenges in getting the final sign-off, but I expect it. I'm pressing my PS every few days, where is it? And we will get that back in front of our cabinet colleagues.
Okay. Yesterday, just chiming into your colleague's comments during the budget debate, he said that there would be a review of legal aid. Last year, you recruited a senior barrister and a junior barrister because you had to increase your consultancy fees because there were so many multi-defendant murder cases that had come up. I wondered if this budget included any more hiring of lawyers for that department. That wasn't clear.
One of the things that we are focused on in this budget is capacity building. So it's how do we train the lawyers that we have, and conversations have been ongoing about giving Bermuda lawyers more exposure to external cases on a consistent basis. And so this is to say, as opposed to bringing in an external counsel, King's Counsel, for a particular case, is to think differently about how we utilize that resource and whether we use that resource more toward training up the lawyers that are in the jurisdiction.
Just yesterday, the DPP, Ms. Cindy Clark, issued a statement about some recent incidents where members of the judiciary, her colleagues, Crown Counsel, were threatened by members of the public. Does there need to be a review of security within the Dame Lois Court building? I wondered what your thoughts on those incidents were.
Thank you, Jasmine. I'm smiling because my colleague sitting here, this is somewhat a question for the Minister of National Security. But as the Minister of Justice, all of the members of the judiciary, members of the Department of Public Prosecutors, Crown Counsel, they are all, under my umbrella. Those are all my team. So their safety is of critical importance to me. So there is a review, not just of the Dame Lois Brown Evans building, but members have also had the opportunity to take advantage of home security reviews as well. So those are all underway.
Any shortfalls from the security team that are already installed in that building? Was there a gap there in their services they were providing?
I'm not aware that there is a gap in the services that they are providing at all. So I can speak to certainly not the specific incident that the DPP mentioned, but in the case that involved a member of the judiciary, that threat took place in a public place. So it's the concern isn't so much at the courthouse. It is these people leave the courts after an event has happened, after a ruling, in the middle of a case, and they're citizens and they're entitled to be able to walk the streets safely.
Yes, indeed. And thank you. Just lastly, any chance of any courtrooms moving back to Sessions House? Do you see that happening under your tenure, or are you happy to keep all court buildings in Dame Lois building? Courtrooms, I should say.
I smile because there is perhaps a question for the Speaker of the House. My understanding is that all of Sessions House will be under the remit of Parliament. So it will not be a space for court buildings. That gives me an opportunity to talk about, the government support for the Bermuda International Mediation and Arbitration Center, which will be coming online later this year. So we do know that that space will be an opportunity for potentially court overflow if there's a necessity for it, but certainly a space for tribunal work to take place under most pieces of government legislation where a tribunal needs to be impaneled. That tribunal must have a place to actually do its work. So we are looking to partner with BMAC in that regard.
That project had seemed quite dormant for a while. Can you share anything else about that development?
Well, BMAC is a private project, so that is not, people would be aware of that there was a government plan to stand up an arbitration center a while ago. But then the private sector came along and said, we see a need for this, and we have an interest and a way forward to get it stood up. And I took that opportunity to say, along with my colleagues, this is something that we would definitely support. Members of the public might be aware that, I spent most of my career really as a lawyer in international business. And so understanding the scope for the opportunity for international arbitrations to take place in Bermuda, as opposed to in London or Toronto, is a huge opportunity for the jurisdiction to be fully supported in that regard.
And when had that agreement been signified or signed off on?
At the moment, it's a matter of information and Cabinet. I presented it as a paper to Cabinet, an information paper for Cabinet. So there's no decision for us as such.
Okay, thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you, members of the media. Thank you, AG, and to Minister Weeks for your briefings today. And that concludes today's media conference.